Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kenny Wallace Show, brought to you by JEGS. Where's it? There's that badass diecast. Welcome to the Kenny Wallace Show, as I've already said. Why are you repeating yourself, Herman? Brought to you by JEGS, the leader in high-performance aftermarket car parts. And remember to go to jegs.com. Ricky, I always want to sing that. I always want to go .com. But anyway,
Yeah, that's old
welcome to
school.
the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on. Glad we're doing things to get asked to come on the Kenny conversation.
Well, I I do like to say that I think I know you a lot better than the other drivers, and I think our commonplace is our love for dirt racing. And my dear friend Nick Hoffman loves you so much; he considers you his brother. What are all those pictures in the background?
This I'm in our war room here at JTG Doherty Racing. So you'll see the Watkins Glen win.
Yeah,
I don't know how you point backwards. That one right
you're
there.
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's all backwards. But yeah, just old pictures of JTG Doherty Racing from back in the day. Out in the shop, we have all the updated pictures. Obviously, we're a single car team now, so you see my face everywhere throughout the shop, being the single car team here. But yeah, so I'm in the throwback room, I guess.
I always tell my friends on the Kenny conversation, Ricky, that this is a conversation. It can steer all types of different ways. And I just want to start out like this. You know, when I was a kid, my hero was Dick Trickle out of Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, or Terry Bivens from Shawnee Mission, Kansas. And I'm telling you, third is Ricky Stenhouse from Olive Branch, Mississippi. That is such a badass name. Tell me about Olive Branch, Mississippi. Do the announcers tell you they like saying it? Do you like saying it? It's such a cool name.
I like it. I love where I'm from. I always thought that, when I made it to NASCAR, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna move back home to Olive Branch and I'm gonna fly in and out of Olive Branch. But obviously that wasn't the case. I'm still in North Carolina, but no, I love being from Olive Branch, Mississippi. It was a great area to grow up in. A lot of racing around the Mid South area, which obviously is the reason that I'm in racing. My dad was in racing and raced around the Mid South area, all while I was growing up, and obviously a few years before I was born. But yeah, I love where I'm from, and I get to go back every now and then. I got to go back after our big win, so that was pretty cool. Uh, Going back for big reasons is always neat.
So I want to get to that. Uh, but before we do, I want to ask you about your childhood, your area there. Now I don't want to dive deep into it, but let's lay the format out. Am I correct that you came from wing sprint car racing? Is that the first type of racing you did right there around Mississippi area?
So when I was 4 years old, well, I started racing BMX when I was three, but I think when I was
Whoa, back up.
four,
That's
yeah,
awesome. You're an athlete.
yeah, I
You
raced
race
BMX.
bicycles.
Bicycles. And I really liked that. And then I got my first dirt bike, I was four. And so I started riding it a lot. And I think I was 5 years old. My dad took me to a go-kart track, and there was a dirt bike track right next to it. I spent half the day on the go-kart track, half the day on the dirt bike track. And then at the end of the day, dad was like, which one do you want to race?
Oh
And
my.
I picked the go-kart. So that's how I ended up racing go-karts at age 5, and raced those until I was 15 years old, and then jumped right in the sprint car. So those are the two things that I ran the whole time.
First of all, that's an amazing story that your dad gave you the choice. You chose something that you didn't have to pedal so hard and wear
That's right.
yourself out. But when you got into that sprint car, I mean, like right now, I'm too old, but when I got into a sprint car, say 5 years ago, it was overwhelming for me. Was it violent for you, a wing sprint car when you first got in it?
So it was a 360. So I feel like the 410s when I get in them now, I'm like, holy cow, like these are wild. I got so
Yeah.
much power, and I feel like almost like behind because I've ran 360s pretty much my whole life. I've had really good success in 410 racing, but it's been a long time since I've done it, frequently. But there was a new racetrack down in Tunica, Mississippi. It was a big 3/8 mile dirt track. Um, there was a lot of quarter mile racing, around our area, and they built this new big track, and they had a play day. And this was about halfway through the season in 2003. I was working on my dad's car. I would get him ready for him. He was at the engine shop, all week, and I would, kind of help get the car ready during the week, and we'd go racing on the weekend. And dad would race. And so we were on the way down to that, practice day, and dad was like, all right, are you ready? And so I got in about halfway through that practice day, ran 10 laps. And then my dad, when I came in, he's like, all right, you're racing next weekend. I'm done. He has not got back in a car since.
No, we're going to get to the Daytona 500 here in a minute, and your new life and your wife.
Yes,
But hold on. Your dad builds motors. He's a mechanic and he's a race car driver.
that's
And
right.
one day he said, "I'm out. You're in."
Yes. And one day, the day that I made 10 laps at the new track there in Mississippi, made 10 laps. He had tested, that morning, or for the first half of the day, and then I ran some laps afterwards. And then I ran the next Friday night, at our local track there, and he has not been back in a sprint car since.
I believe you're the very first Kenny conversation where I mean, I think Kenny Schrader's dad raced a little bit, but Tony, everybody else we've had on here, Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, Joey Logano, nobody's dad raced. I think you're the first one where your dad
That's
raced at a
cool.
high level.
Yeah,
That's
he was really good locally, and traveled around, raced some outlaw races. Never did outlaw racing full time, but yeah, he was really good in a sprint car. And my parents got married at noon on a Saturday. My dad raced that night. I was born at noon on a Saturday, and dad raced that night.
sure, sure.
So my mom's a saint.
And that's where the phrase, and we use capital letters, racer.
That's right.
You to be a real racer, you have to have a checklist. And your dad, although that was crazy, he's a racer.
I can't believe my mom let him do it, but she let him do it. It's crazy. A cool story to tell now.
Yeah, well, Ricky, let's start the Kenny conversation. As I tell everybody, I let the fans look at it. I did my notes on you,
All
and
right.
so I believe this. I'm not going to say year, but I'm going to say this is a new time in your life where you got married and you won the biggest race NASCAR has to offer, the Daytona 500. Now, winning the race alone is a big deal, but you get married to the love of your life. So I draw a circle around those two stories. Are you living as of right now at your age? Is this the greatest time of your life?
For sure. For sure, the greatest time of my life. The first we got married October 26th of last year.
Right.
So there was two races left in the season. Those two races did not go well, but our whole season didn't go well. So yeah, we had a great honeymoon after the season, and things have been on an upward trajectory.
I saw
Starting
the
off with
Instagram
Daytona
post. Man,
500.
you guys did not mess around. I want to go where you all went, and
Yeah, we
beautiful.
enjoyed the beach. We went to Bora Bora.
That's it.
Basically, there was nothing to do but hang out with each other, which was fun.
Yeah.
We needed that. Obviously, after a long season, and then having everybody in town for our wedding, it was which the wedding was amazing.
I saw the
And
picture.
then yeah, that was cool. I complained about cost and things like that, but I
We
told her
all do.
I was like, I would do it again with
Yeah.
her because she nailed it with our wedding planner. So that was cool. But yeah, I mean, starting off the season, we got a lot of good things going here at JTG Doherty Racing. A lot of people bring up, Mike Kelly being back as my crew chief. Madison likes to remind everybody that we also got married. So, those two things go hand in hand. But yeah, greatest time period of my life, and looking forward to, kind of building on that and building on our future.
So, let's talk about your wife and your vacation just for a second. With my wife, sometimes I feel like in my house, it's like business. Take the trash out, pay
Yeah.
the taxes. And when Kim and myself, when we go anywhere by ourselves, I look at it, I'm like, well, hi, how you doing, honey? So on your vacation, Bora Bora, where it's just you and her, nobody can interrupt you. Don't you did you catch yourself like it's like, hey, it's just hi, I'm
Yes.
Ricky.
Yes.
Isn't
So
it
when I
different?
go on vacation, I like to not use my phone. Like I'm like I'll be off of it. I don't have to social media. I don't want to check in at the shop. Like I want a pure vacation. And especially on our honeymoon, it was, we worked out every day. We just did random stuff that they had to offer there, and enjoyed just spending time with each other. And yeah, not having to take the trash out, not having to take our dog out to go to the bathroom. She wasn't doing laundry, which she loves to do. She loves to keep our house spotless. Before the cleaning lady comes, she's cleaning to make sure everything's good. So none of that. We just hung out with each other, and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that. My dad was a clean person. He would come in all the time and take his hand and go on top of the refrigerator. And if you know, listen, I loved my dad, but he was
Yeah,
hardcore. So it sounds to me like your beautiful wife has got some structure built in. Ricky, we're going to
that's
be clean
mostly
here
me
now.
on the cleaning, which I really enjoy. Yeah, I love our house being organized and clean, and definitely better than messy.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Daytona 500 specifically. So you win that race. We see it. We know how you won it. You are a great race car driver. You have a hell of a year going right now, and we're going to talk about that. But let's zone in on the Daytona 500. You win the biggest race in the world. Okay. I mean, we got the Indianapolis 500. I'll give it to them. They got their deal. We got our deal. And,
That's right.
and I admire everybody. But listen, you win the
You could win both.
Daytona.
You would take winning both.
Yeah, right. You win the Daytona 500. I want to zone in on how that. I mean, you're still Ricky, but tell me how you viewed things in that last week. Like, you get on the plane, you get 2 hours sleep, the breakfast, New
Oh yeah.
York. Tell me about the Daytona 500 winning it.
I would go through that again. No sleep, man. It was just a whirlwind of a week. We, obviously, I think I added it up. I think I was like averaged the whole week like 3.5 hours of sleep.
The
Maybe
whole
four.
week.
The whole week, like and that was after I slept in one night. So, so being tired, running on adrenaline, it was all worth it. Getting to do that with my wife, going to Chicago and New York, and coming to the shop, and taking pictures with the crew guys that weren't at the racetrack. Taking pictures with the trophy and hanging out with them, promoting the sport for a week. I mean, that's something that you know I I think I used to kind of take for granted when we used to have to go do all these things to promote the sport. You're also, as you know, promoting yourself and your race team and your partners. And that was something that I got to do for a solid week. I got to promote, what we were able to accomplish as a race team. Uh, you know, all of our great partners in the sport of NASCAR in its 75th, year, and the 65th anniversary of the Daytona 500. That was special, and I took a lot of pride in that. And didn't complain about being tired or the no sleep. Just took every opportunity that we could get, in Chicago and in New York, and any phone interviews. Just took advantage of that. Luckily for us, it rained a lot in California, so I got to really catch up on rest and sleep out there. But all in all, man, it was just an unreal experience. Uh, you think you know what it's going to be like, but you don't really know until you do it.
So when you win the Daytona 500, you get the champion ring, and it was the great Kyle Petty that said to me, "You're not the Daytona 500 winner. You're the Daytona 500 champion."
Yeah.
Is a big difference. The crown jewels are like championships events. So where is the ring, and what about a trophy? How'd that play out?
Yeah, so I've got the original trophy. It's displayed in our house. That's the one trophy Madison let me put, out and about. The other ones
It's
are
a
in a
piece of jewelry.
trophy
It's
room.
a Yeah,
Yeah.
it's jewelry.
Um, I got the ring in the safe. I took it with me, obviously, promoting the race, that week, but I wasn't gonna, continue to wear it. It's
Yeah.
pretty big. Got a Rolex, which was super cool.
Oh,
Um,
what kind of
it,
Rolex?
the Daytona, the Daytona
How
Rolex.
how
So,
much you think that rings or that is
ooh,
that a $10,000 watch or like 5 grand?
might be more. I think it might
More
be
than
like
10?
that.
No, well, good. We want it to be a
Yeah, we want it to
50,000.
be, yes. So
That's what we
I've
want.
got it in the safe.
That's badass.
I wear it on special occasions, but yeah, those three things came with that, and it was so cool.
And you earned every bit of it, buddy. So when you win the race, you do breakfast the next morning, but you still don't see your complete team. So are you telling me you don't see the complete team until be like 4 days later? Or when did
Yeah, I
you
didn't
go
see him
back to
till
the
Wednesday. I came to the shop on Wednesday. Um, Monday, so the champions breakfast on Monday was at like 7, but I had to be in Victory Lane at 6:45 doing interviews for Good Morning America. My team got a champions breakfast. I did not really get to eat because I was doing interviews, and then had to go back to the media center.
No
Uh,
food for you.
yeah, no food for us. So, but I had Waffle House about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, so I was still full. I was ready to go. But then then we went to Disney Monday afternoon, which was so cool. And then Tuesday went to Chicago. Got home Tuesday night from Chicago. Went to the race shop on Wednesday morning through lunch, and then flew out for New York that afternoon. So I got back to see the team guys on Wednesday.
And when you arrived at the shop, they were ready for you? When you walked in, you had to be nervous a little bit. You're like, "Oh, here we
So,
go."
like, the rest of the shop met our team guys back on Monday when they at the airport.
Got it.
They were all out there. That was
I
really
saw the
cool to see
videos.
videos and pictures of that. But yeah, they were all ready for me when I came in. We had a lunch, took pictures with everybody. But I mean, they were digging on our California car. They had to get it ready,
Yeah.
because it had to leave. So they were thrashing, but everybody was working with a big smile on their face.
So to wrap up the Daytona 500, it's nothing we gloss over, Ricky. We take all the time we need to. It's our biggest race. So the car that you won the race with, where's it at right now?
It's in the 500 museum. So the team after the race tears it all the way down. NASCAR inspects literally everything, engine, you name it. Then they got to put it all back together so that it can go into the museum Monday morning.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been to the museum to see it, so that's one thing I'm going to do in August when we go back is go in the museum, check that out. I get to see. I think they put my handprint and footprint and stuff in the
Yeah.
concrete asphalt or the sidewalk there. Get to go check all that out. But yeah, I would say it probably cost our team a little bit of money to win because
Yeah.
they had to buy a whole nother car,
Car.
seat, you name it. They had to buy everything
Oh, good point.
because everything stayed in that car.
And the
So
seats are like $20,000, or is that too much?
I think they're like 15 or so.
50, yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad the team takes
These
care
are
of that.
things that fans like to know. The
Yeah, I
fans don't
mean, like
want to.
it literally probably costs us money to win,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
crazy. But hey, they wouldn't trade it for anything.
that's right. That's right. That J
Actually, the guys yesterday just got they let the team guys order like 3/4 scale or a quarter scale of the trophy. So they all got their trophies in yesterday. So they were all pumped up about that.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit. Brother Rusty, Dale Earnhardt Sr., Dick Trickle, so many great people. Kenny Schrader, uh, they give me words of wisdom, and they say, Herm, it's sad to say, but you have to remind people because people remember what they want to. So I want to remind everybody that you've checked all the boxes. You are a 2011, 2012 NASCAR Xfinity champion. You earned your way into the Cup Series. When you got to the Cup Series, you're the 2013 Rookie of the Year. So you've checked all the boxes. When you went from Olive Branch, Mississippi to Roush Racing, tell me about that phone call. Tell me about how did that connection, how did that happen?
So 2006, we had a really good season in sprint car racing, running wing sprint cars, 410s with the All Stars all throughout Ohio. Won a lot of good races, big races.
You went all the way to Ohio.
Yeah, we were racing. I was racing for a kind of a group of people, group effort with my dad and some car owners from back home, some car owners from Ohio, and we just had a good season in 2006. And then at the end of 2006, Motorsports Management at the time, MMI, was trying to hire me or to represent me.
Yeah.
They wanted to represent me. They wanted me to
They
sign with them.
recognized your talent.
And so I kind of put them off for like kind of halfway through 2006. Well, Chili Bowl of 2007,
The old Chili Bowl.
I ended up signing with them. And so I signed with them, I think around Chili Bowl in 2007. And that was in January. February, I went to Manzanita Speedway out in Phoenix, Arizona. I raced a non-wing sprint car, and I was racing for Carl Edwards and RE Technologies Racing in their Silver Crown team.
Well, back up.
And
We can't gloss over this. You drove for Carl Edwards, the race car driver?
yeah, so Carl would go back and run USAC races in the Silver Crown series, and he would run for this team based out of Memphis called RE Technologies. Roger Johnson owned it, and he helped a lot of people race in the Mid-South area, and even some on the Outlaw Tour. So he's been around racing for a long time. Well, Carl, put his name on it. Was getting some help from Ford on engine side, and so had his name, on the race team. So we took their Silver Crown car I was running all the dirt races in the Silver Crown series in 2007 for them. And they had room in their trailer to take my sprint car. And so I'd ran 2 or 3 non-wing sprint car races up until that point. But we went to Manzanita and we won the sprint car and the Silver Crown race in the same night. And Tony had his cars. Tony Stewart had his sprint cars there, and midgets and Silver Crown and Casey.
No wonder you're a Cup driver nowadays. So we got it. My Lord.
And so then one of Tony's guys got hurt in March or April of that year. So because I was signed with MMI, they said, hey, they called me. I was driving down the road. They're like, hey, Tracy Hines got hurt. You're going to fill in for Tracy for the rest of 2007. Head over to Tony's shop, get your seats, and you're going racing over there. So I was like, holy cow, this is wild.
That's Santa Claus coming to town.
Yes. So, but after I guess I can back up a little bit. After we won Manzanita, MMI flew me to North Carolina, and I met with, at the time, Max Jones was the general manager at Roush Fenway. And so I met with him and I said, hey, what do I need to do to get a chance at running, say the ARCA series or whatever? He's like, just keep winning races and we'll talk at the end of the season. Well, obviously that was a Ford team. Well, then all of a sudden I get a call, to go race for Tony in a Chevrolet team. And so we had to kind of let, Roush know and Ford know, like, hey, I'm going to go run for this, Chevy team. And they're like, all right, perfect. You can go run asphalt figure out asphalt because I'd never really ran
You're a
asphalt.
full-blown dirt racer.
Yeah, I'm a dirt racer. And so they're like, get some time on the asphalt. And then at the end of the year, we'll get you back. And so, then 2007 happens. Tony's talking to Jack. We had kind of had a plan. Well, at the end of 2007, I ended up signing with Roush Fenway in October. So I told Chevrolet, hey, I'm going to go race some ARCA cars.
So when you say Tony, you're talking Tony Stewart, right?
Tony Stewart. Yes,
Tony
sir.
Stewart's your friend.
He
He
is.
wants you to drive for him.
I begged him forever to drive for him, and then all of a sudden he let me, and then
Then
all
you
of a sudden,
couldn't.
and all of a sudden here we are, racing stock cars.
That's a soundbite right there.
Then Chevrolet was like, "Well, go figure out stock cars, then we'll get you back." Well, obviously I was at Ford and Roush Fenway for a long time, and then now I'm on the Chevy camp. So it was just kind of a whirlwind. I went from 2007 in January signing with MMI, not really knowing exactly what I was going to do in 2007, to winning out there, racing for Tony Stewart in the whole USAC series, all of 2007, signed with Roush Fenway in October of 2007. And then all of a sudden I'm going through the gates of Daytona in February of 2008 to race an ARCA car. It was wild.
Crazy.
It was wild.
So, when I look back at your career, there were highlights. The one thing I remember is that, well, let me kind of compare myself with you. When I grew up in ASA, where I always ran 200 lap racers, and I was never feisty enough. I don't think you were feisty right away because you had a 6 lap dash.
That's right.
So you had to go now. So when you went to NASCAR, how hard was it for you to understand that, hey, I got to run 200 lap race? How did that take some getting used to, that you didn't have to kill yourself right away?
Yeah, for sure. I had to get used to a lot of things. Waking up early and going test on track at 9 o'clock in the morning. I
What
mean,
do you mean
I
we're
was used
practicing
to.
from 8:30
Yeah, I was used to staying up
a.m.?
till 2 o'clock in the morning and sleeping in. Well, man, my first few tests, I remember I would be fast in the morning session, but after lunch, I would just kind of start getting slower and slower. I'm like, guys, I'm worn out.
Yeah.
So I had to get my sleep pattern a little bit. But no, I think, looking back at my stock car career, it definitely took some getting used to of, even if the car wasn't right, just taking what the car gives you, make an adjustment on a pit stop, and go out and try it again, versus, hey, the car's not doing what I want, let me try and make it do what I want. On asphalt, it's not near as easy as it is on dirt to make it do what you want. And
You can't shake an asphalt car.
no, you just got to take what it gives you.
Take the push
And
out.
it took me a long time to learn that. And then I finally, I was racing against you in like 2010 when it was still the old school, cars. And then I think we ran those 4 races in the new style, back then Nationwide Series cars. And those 4 races, man, I felt really good in those race cars. I don't know, I felt like I could feel them better. Obviously they were a lot bigger and kind of bulkier than what we had been running. And I just loved them ever since I got in them, and we were fast. And that's when I was like, all right, 2011 is going to be a good season. Like we can get this accomplished and get our goals accomplished of winning a championship. Nobody really thought we could because we had kind of a rough 2010, at least half the year, and then we ended strong. But that new car definitely helped my stock car career.
Yeah. Well, you're what we call a diamond in the rough, and they polished you up, and look at you now. You're getting it done. So, okay, this is a point in the Kenny conversation where we talk about now. We don't like to go back, but Rick, I think it was very important. We always want to let the kids that are watching, and we know there's a lot of people that tune into the Kenny conversation because they want to know, is Ricky Stenhouse like me? Can I be like him? And you just told us your path. you had to earn every bit of it. Go out to
Oh, yeah.
Manzanita, win, and you and your dad. So let's talk about right now, clean slate. So you win the Daytona 500, and now all of a sudden Ricky Stenhouse running in the top 10 every week, seventh, 5 top 10s, a handful of top fives. You're 14th in the points right now.
Yes, sir.
That's big time. This is not Formula One. We don't have 20 cars. We have 39 or 40. So, I think we all want to win, but listen, top 15 is big time. Why are you running so good this year?
Huh. I feel like there's a long list. I feel like, last year we definitely learned a lot about this new race car, and as the whole sport was, trying to learn. Felt like we learned at a slower rate because we were a single car team, and so there was a lot of things that we couldn't adapt quick enough, throughout the season last year. And we learned a lot of things not to do. Got married. I do think that, I look back at people's career, and it seems like after they get married, they definitely, seem to race a little better. So
Quit going to the bar so much.
yeah,
Quit
I didn't spend
partying so
I didn't
much.
spend a whole lot of time at the bar, but I did hang out with Nick Hoffman a lot at my house. So we
Yeah.
did stay up a little later than we probably should. But, I think getting Mike Kelly back over in my corner, was a good, uh, game changer for me, because I feel like he knows me really well. He knows how to get the most out of me as a race car
Was
driver.
he your crew chief at one point in
He
the
was my crew
Xfinity?
chief in 2011, 2012 when we were winning
Duh.
our championships. And so we've done a lot of things together. We've accomplished a lot together. He still feels like he has more left to accomplish in this sport as a crew chief on the Cup side. He's been a Cup crew chief a couple of times, not really felt like he got to show what he's worth. And so you got somebody that's hungry, leading our ship now, and who has confidence in me probably more than I have in myself. But watching him throughout this shop bring that same, kind of mentality to every single worker that we have, whether it be our engineer, our car chief, our tire changers. He brings out the confidence in them. And I think that, when you have a car that everybody has in this sport, we got the same chassis and same bodies as everybody else. It's little things like that push us forward. We have a stronger tie with Hendrick this year than what we had and that we've ever had in years past. And the same goes with Chevrolet. And so I think we're putting all those things together, and I have a different mentality of showing up to the racetrack. We have different goals, and take Daytona aside, we're hitting the goals that we set, the season out to be. And that's cool when you accomplish a goal one week and then you do it again the next week, and you just keep doing that. You just keep building more confidence. And like you said, we're 14th in points. Uh, we don't get crashed by the
Yeah. Austin
Austins
Dillon,
this weekend,
Austin Cindric.
and we're
I felt
close to
bad
being
for
10th in
you.
points. And so we still feel like we can get there by the end of the regular season. And man, that I would say if we could get back to 10th in points before the end of the regular season, that would be almost as big of an accomplishment as winning the Daytona 500 for us this year. Obviously, you can't replace the Daytona 500, but for us as a race team and what we've set our goals out to be this year, that would be a huge accomplishment, and we're on the verge of that. And so we got some tough tracks going forward, but this year I felt like we've been strong on every track we've shown up to race at, and that's been fun.
I want to touch on that worldwide technology race. You're going down the front straightaway. Once again, you're running in the top 10. You were up to sixth. You were running sixth for a lot of the race.
Yep.
And I call it getting bitch slapped. You're going down the straightaway. And of course I know, but explain it to the fans when you're just running and all of a sudden it's like somebody comes out of nowhere with a 2x4 and knocks the hell out of you.
Yes.
What was that feeling like getting hit so hard and not knowing it's coming?
That I mean, like you said, you know how it is, but I guess most of the fans probably don't. I mean, it is just getting blindsided. I mean,
Shocking.
you're more in disbelief, and then like all of a sudden you're like, what
What
just
happened?
happened? Like I'm like, I'm running like say 10th or 11th or wherever we were at the time on that restart, and
Right.
we're still on the straightaway, and I get hammered by the in the left side of the door, and when I went back and watched it, I was like, dang, like it looked like two guys have been getting into it, and from the sounds of it, been getting into it throughout the whole race, and maybe the last restart that kind of bowled over, and
Yeah.
we were an innocent bystander of that, which was a bummer. I mean, we'd finished every race up until that point. We'd been on a kind of a hot streak of top 15s, which I felt like obviously we were gonna accomplish that again, and my guys had given me a great race car.
Yeah.
But last year at Gateway, we were a 30th place race team, I think. I mean, we were
Yeah.
slow. We were not good. And then so for us to like kind of flip the script, and now all of a sudden we were running a top 10 all day. Still a lot of positives to take away from the weekend, even though we were bummed about the outcome.
Yeah. I compare what you just said. I get it. When you get on a roll, you don't want it to come to an end. It's like bowling, right? You're bowling all these strikes. I mean, I got
Yep.
a 300 game going, and then all of a sudden, you have a spare. I understand that. I get that. Well, Ricky, we're already at 40 minutes, and that's how these Kenny conversations go. So we do this with everybody. We did it with Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, and I always tell our new guests, I tell you, I let you know that this is the time of the show where we ask every driver the exact same question.
All right.
And we don't want you to get in trouble. It's not provocative. However, it is all about NASCAR. And the fans want to know this stuff. It's the stuff we all talk about behind closed doors. So it's three parts. The first one is this: what is your opinion of the state of NASCAR right now?
My opinion, I think the state of NASCAR, is in a really good spot. I came in 2008, and I felt like it was massively way up here, and I've seen it go down. I've seen the teams go down, but I feel like everything from the teams, the fans, drivers in NASCAR, I feel like we're continually climbing, and we're way past where I felt like we have been. Um, that being said, I mean, there's always room for improvement, and I think NASCAR
We're trending upwards
we're
now.
we're trending upwards. I think NASCAR is way more proactive now than they've ever been. You know, there's a lot of people that might not agree with everything that they do, but uh, they are innovative. They're working, and constantly trying to do things to continue to grow our sport. And I think every professional sport is doing the same thing. I mean, golf seems like it's in shambles right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
between
all over.
Liv and PGA.
And so, I like that NASCAR, you can't just sit back and let it play out. You gotta go try new markets. You gotta go back to old markets. They've realized that's something that we had never thought about in the past as a sport, or at least, the top people in NASCAR haven't thought about going back to North Wilkesboro. There we did, great crowd. Obviously it's not a massive crowd compared to
It looks
uh,
good.
it looks good, but compared to like you could be half empty at Texas and still have more people. But it's about the excitement that North Wilkesboro brought to that weekend, and so I like the sport, and the state of the sport that we're in right now, and where we're going. A lot of old school fans, don't know about Chicago. We don't either. We're about to find out, right? So, NASCAR doesn't either. But if you don't try it and you don't go to it, you'll wonder about it. And I think they're doing a good job with it.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is the next gen car. It is a game changer. We've never seen anything like it. Some people say it's based off the, Australian V8 type car, one lug nut, everything we just said. So what is your opinion on the new next gen car?
I think I think we've nailed the next gen car in areas, and then I think we've swung and missed in other areas, right? Again, NASCAR um, still being proactive, which is good. They've taken a lot. They take a lot of input from the drivers and teams, especially the drivers with this new car. When we say, "Hey, these crashes are hurting worse," right? Um, when they built the car, they're like, "Hey, this is our car. This is what we're racing with. This is what we're moving forward. We're not changing it because we want this car to be the same from here on out." But they've listened to us, so I think we missed it a little bit on the safety aspect, overlooked some things.
It's
But
okay to say, Ricky. We we
yeah,
we we had flat tires. We couldn't move out of the grass.
yeah,
We burning the bottom up.
yeah.
We're
But they're
hurting
but they're
people.
constantly changing them to make them right, and us as drivers appreciate them taking our advice, at least on some of the things, and then taking team advice on on certain areas of the race car. So yeah, I think we swung and missed on a few things. I think the competitiveness is unreal right now. I feel like
Off the charts.
you could
That's
show
why
up
we're doing better.
each and every weekend. You don't know who's going to win. You really don't. And I feel like our sport was so predictive on
Jimmy
hey,
Johnson was going to win.
we out of these 5 cars, they're one of these guys is going to win, and they're going to win 5 or 10 races, right?
Yeah.
The last season with the old car, Larson won what 10 or 11 races that year, and that can still be done with this car, but he's gonna that person's gonna have to beat different people every week, and so I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. All right. And so for the last one, we are in an era where we see unprecedented amount of fines and penalties. We have never, as we speak, we got another one coming out against Eric Jones. You're going to see it when you get off here. They messed with the greenhouse and, all these points and 75 every week. So they say the penalty money goes into the NASCAR Foundation. This year, the foundation is going to have more money than they've ever had. So, what is your opinion on the unprecedented fines and penalties in NASCAR history this year?
So NASCAR, I would say, came out when they built this new car and designed it, gave it to the team, said, if you mess with it, it is going to be bad, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so and we saw that I think from the very first race, with RFK and like them drilling out their wheels. I mean, they gave them $100,000 fine or whatever that penalty was. They started looking at everything, retracted that, but I mean, they were pretty clear right off the bat, and from everything that I've seen so far, a lot of the issues that they've had are pretty blatantly obvious. Like, it's not like, hey, should we fine them? Should we not?
You
It's
made this
like
part by yourself.
you messed up, right?
Yeah.
And so, um, but it seemed, I would think that teams would learn not to do things after the first few penalties of
Right. A
$250,000 or
lot of money.
whatever in 100 points. But man, it doesn't seem like they're learning very much at all. So, us at JTG Doherty Racing, I feel like we've learned a lot throughout some of the tests that we've done, and there's definitely areas of the car you want to push, but I mean there's definitely areas that you do not want to go and mess with, and NASCAR's trying to make that clear, but it seems like people are still trying to push those limits. So, yeah, like you said, the NASCAR Foundation probably isn't going to have to do any charity events this year. They got them in tech, so they can cut their budget on charity events.
We'll end it like this. This new hooking. It seems that we've got that about halfway through the year here. NBC's taken over. Fox, has got one more race, and it seems like the front end is so strong on this next gen car that hitting people and spinning them out, you can't do it anymore.
That's
Do
right.
you think that's where the hooking technique, the is that why the hooking thing's so popular? Is that the only way to wreck people?
No, I think that's just because people get frustrated and mad, and that's the easiest way to wreck somebody.
Is there any
So,
other way to wreck somebody, Ricky?
yeah, that's the easiest way to not get yourself wrecked, right? Like, I mean, if you hit them in the left rear, you don't know which way they're going to spin, but if you hook them in the right side, they're going to the right and you're going to the left. So,
Good point.
I feel like that's probably their thought process behind that, and it's definitely worked. I guess except for Chase, he caught himself up in it, but yeah, it's not good. Again, NASCAR listened to us about we feel like the cars need to be safer. So, in turn, when you got guys wrecking each other at the end of a straightaway, right hooking them into the fence, those are things where NASCAR is like, hey, y'all are complaining about the cars not being safe, yet y'all are going to wreck somebody intentionally the way you're doing it. We're going to step in. So, yeah, I think we kind of made NASCAR play their hand there a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Ricky, listen, I could have definitely made this interview longer. I could have touched on your great car owners. I could have touched more on your relationship with Jennifer and Richard Marshall. But we find it's time to go, my friend. And thank you so very much. And I want to remind everybody, like I do at the end of every show, remember, we are in podcast form. You can listen to Ricky Stenhouse as you leave the house on your way to work. And when you head back home, you listen to the rest of the show.
Everywhere.
What's that?
You can listen to it everywhere.
That's right. We're in Spotify, iTunes. Remember to like and subscribe. We're getting so close to that 100,000 subscribers. We're going to put that trophy right up here
Heck
for
yeah.
everybody. But we love you all. Ricky, I want to thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure having conversations with you. You always make me feel like I'm ready to go out and compete and win the world. So I'm ready for Sonoma this weekend.
And you can get it done there because that new car has definitely proved the point that anybody can get it done, and it's your year.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.